Greetings! It is I, Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on Werewolf the Apocalypse in the World of Darkness. Well, where we last left off, we were talking about some of the basics of character creation and the various steps you would take to create your character. Let's talk about the finishing touches. These are things that you don't actually need to do. You don't actually have to come up with any of this information. These are little notes that you might make about your character that are going to help add to the essence of your character and information about it. These are things you want to think about, but you don't actually need to. The first off, of course, is going to be your character's appearance. Their appearance is much more than just their traits. It's their skills, their backgrounds, their equipment. It's everything about them that you're building out, added together. Every aspect of their character should add to the appearance of it. If the character is athletic, but maybe not incredibly strong, they should reflect that in a certain way. The various backgrounds or concepts behind it should reflect how your character appears. After that, you're going to want to look at specialties. A specialty is a single word that is added to an attribute or an ability of 4 or greater. What does this mean? It means that there are certain points in time where you are better at a ability or attribute. When you meet the qualifications of this specialty, it's a point in time where it reflects your character's better ability in something or other. You're specializing it. It's something that you grew to gain. The book will provide a list of specialty suggestions for every attribute and ability, but effectively you will gain a bonus to whatever check it is that you're making when your specialty is effectively in effect. If your specialty when it comes to being dexterous is balancing, as soon as you're balancing, hey, guess what? You're getting a bonus because you're, for whatever reason, better at balancing. But it also adds to your character that your character is better at balancing. Now after that, you do want to look at the equipment, the personal and equipment that your character may have to use along the adventures or to give to the pack in order to help them out. This equipment should reflect not only what your character should have, what a character that you've built you'd think they would have just because they would have it. It should reflect what you could probably afford with whatever resources you chose, and it should be able to reflect whatever kind of backgrounds you might actually need for certain ones of these resources. Just because you think you want an equipment doesn't mean that resources, the background, will get you that. You might need another background to get a piece of equipment, especially if it's something that is more Garou related. But regardless, it should be equipment that you feel fits your character, fits with the character that you were building. Now you might want to list a few quirks about your character, a few little certain things that are interesting about your character in a couple sentences on the back of your character sheet that will help you when you're trying to act, trying to role play your character, give you an idea of where to go. Many Garou turn to fight the worm, turn to fight corruption, but each of them in turn has their own reasoning behind it. You're going to want to have the reason behind it, whether it's something more like generalized, like because I was raised to do it, I believe in doing this. Or maybe something happened to you in your past, a family member died, some friend got injured. Any kind of reasoning can drive you to be wanting to battle against the worm and protect Gaia itself. But you should come up with that very reason that your character has, whether it's innocuous or simple, or whether it's a little more complex. It is a motivation as to why you're on the overall quest, overall guide of the adventures you're going to be going on. You're also going to want to talk about your ties to mortal society. Many Garou split away from mortal society and many shun it completely, but there's always these connections that exist into it, just because of the nature of how much humans are out there. Humans are so everywhere, there's no getting beyond them. So having connections to them is very important to develop how your character connects into the modern world. There are those Garou that are well adapted to it. Those tribes which have identities within mortal cities or mortal society. Maybe yours has one too, and is an exception to your tribe. It is up to you how to develop what your connection is to mortals. Now, it's also important to note, in the process of role-playing, your character is going to change. Now, I don't just mean your attributes, your abilities, your backgrounds, your gifts, your rank. All these things will, of course, change. But the various adventures, the very experiences that your character is going to go on is perhaps going to change a little bit of that core aspects of the character. Maybe you weren't originally planning to gain skill in driving, but you were driven to it for whatever was going on, and you become good and better at it, and all of a sudden, you are an expert driver that you never thought that was a skill that you would have. And why would your character? Why would it have that? What has driven it to become like this now? This is a change in the character that has occurred because of events that are going on. And it's important to recognize this is going to happen. We all grow and evolve as we experience things in our lives. We gain new skills. We gain new talents. Things that help bring our own character to the forefront and improve it. Maybe not for the best, but at least improve the way that it exists. Makes us a different person as we grow. And your character should reflect that too. Now let's talk about a prelude. Because Prelude is something that your storyteller might do with you. It's basically the opening to a chronicle. It is set years before it, and it's setting up your character as to where they are in a series of small events or scenes that you jump between in order to establish where you are when it begins. Each prelude should be personal to the character that it has, and unless two characters grew up together, there should be no excuse for them to be sharing a prelude. Prelude will be a series of scenes that may or may not have dice rolls associated with it. There is very rarely, if any, combat associated with a prelude, but it can occur depending on the story that's being developed for your character, reflecting on the own background that perhaps you were developing into the chronicle that you're going now. And the fact is, some of the events that occur in these preludes can have a direct effect, not only on your character when you begin playing it, but on the way that the chronicle is affected. That a action that you take in a prelude could perhaps make an ally that you originally didn't plan on in the prelude that your storyteller can call upon to assist you when it's needed. There are, of course, more than one way to do a prelude. They can keep it very simple and just explain it as directed upon your backgrounds, or come up with something a little more in depth as to the information that you might provide to your storyteller. Regardless, the prelude should basically be the opening act to the chronicle. So that's it for today. I finished, of course, talking about the basics of character building with the the optional details, optional finishing touches you might want to do. Bits of information which help develop your character, from character's appearance, specialties they have, the equipment they have, and then things about your character's personality, why they fight the worm, little quirks, things like that that are important to develop why you're there, why you're adventuring, and what kind of character you're going to be. I, of course, talked about the fact that your character is going to evolve over the course of the adventure. It's going to change. And that your storyteller might include a prelude for you. Something that is an opening act to the chronicle at hand. An opening story leading you into it. A background, if you will, that you will get to play in a series of cuts, little scenes which help develop, and any actions you do there could very well affect the game as a whole. In the next episode, I'm going to go talk about a few questions and answers about this entire section and move into discussing your pack. You as a character in a group of other characters. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It shows support for the channel, the Empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you could always check out my Patreon. Link in the description below. Regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.